Hi, first graders. Happy Thursday. Today we are going to be reading the story on Meadowview Street. But before we read the story, we'll take a look at our morning note, and then I have a surprise for you. Let's get started. Dear first graders, today is Thursday. Thank you for your patience as I put together the I Remember When video. You will get to see that today. For our reading lesson, we are going to talk about retelling a story. Have a terrific Thursday. Love, Mrs. Baker. Remember to go on Seesaw if you are able and make corrections to this note.
I remember I got a prize in I am so proud and happy.
I remember when first grade when we went to the play. Bye.
Something I remember about school is going to teacher-led PE, and we had to flip over all the things, and we were on teams, yellow and blue teams, and then it was like a little competition for us and some quality time to be with Mrs. Baker in the PE room, and we had lots and lots of fun.
Remember when I played math and reading and playing with my friends.
Hi, Mrs. Baker. I miss you. I loved math and everything.
I remember when we did the hula hoop thing. That was really fun.
Hi everybody, I remember when we had hot cocoa.
Hey guys, it's me, Jackson. I'm here at home. I know that it's difficult with all of the COVID-19. So, do you remember when we got all that dojo points and we got 1,000 and we got whoopee floats? Bye guys. I hope that this stuff is done very soon.
I remember I played on the monkey ride.
I remember when we went to play centers, and that's my favorite memory.
Like I said, we are going to be reading on Meadowview Street today. This story is by Henry Cole. It was a big day. Caroline and her family were moving into their new house on Meadowview Street. After things were unpacked, Caroline's dad decided the grass was too tall and got busy mowing the lawn. Caroline was about to explore the new street to see if there was a meadow on Meadowview Street when she noticed a small blossom. "It's beautiful," Caroline said to herself, and all alone. The mower was getting closer. Caroline thought, "I'd better do something quick." The mower came to a halt. "Daddy," Caroline pleaded, "couldn't you mow around my flower?" He said, thinking, "Well, that's less mowing for me." Caroline raced inside the house. She poked around the boxes in the basement. "Aha," she smiled, "some string and sticks, just what I need." What on earth is she going to do, first graders? Before long, Caroline had made a small wildflower preserve. A preserve is like a safe spot for things in nature, where they will be preserved. Then she noticed another flower had bloomed nearby. That one's outside of her preserve, so what does she do? She makes it bigger. Her preserve got bigger, and bigger, and bigger. "That butterfly seems to like my little garden," Caroline thought happily. As the grass grew taller, more flowers popped up all over the yard. Soon there were different kinds, in different colors, everywhere. Caroline's dad had a great idea for the mower. Uh-oh, he's selling the mower. Her preserve is getting too big for their yard, or filling the yard at least. One day, Caroline sat in her preserve in the heat of the sun. "My garden needs a shady spot," she said to her parents. "A shady spot sounds nice," replied Caroline's mom. Soon a truck made a delivery. Caroline's mom took pictures. "Welcome to your new home," Caroline said to the maple tree. The next day, as Caroline admired the maple tree, a wren landed on the end of her shovel. "Oh, you're looking for a home too," said Caroline. Wren is a kind of bird. It's right there. Caroline and her dad got to work. They found some plans for building birdhouses. Caroline helped cut the wood and nail the pieces together. "Perfect," thought Caroline. So did the wren. In no time, there were birds and insects everywhere around the tree and zipping among the flowers. Soon the wren house was full of twigs for a nest. Caroline wanted one more thing. "We need a place where everyone can get a drink of water," she said. The next day, she and her dad began building a pond. They dug a large, shallow hole and lined it with a heavy plastic sheet. Caroline added plants that like living in water. She lugged large rocks to the edge, making ledges and little caverns for creatures to live in. The more Caroline and her family worked in their yard, the more it changed. It was now a home to many things. And soon, the Jacksons' yard changed, and the Smiths, and the Sotos. Now, there really was a meadow on Meadowview Street. And this page shows all of the different creatures that oftentimes live in a meadow and now live in their neighborhood. And a home for everyone. That's the end of our story. I'm going to show you a model now that we can use to retell this story and other stories. When you retell a story, you want to make sure you include the important parts of the story. You can use your hand as a model to help you remember the important parts. Your thumb should remind you of the characters. Who are the people, characters, or creatures in the story? Next, you will talk about the setting. When and where does the story take place? Then you are going to talk about the problem in the story. On your fourth finger, you'll talk about the events. What happened in the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. Your pinky should remind you to talk about the solution. How was the problem solved? This might be related to the end of the story that you already shared when you were talking about the events. Finally, the palm of your hand will remind you to tell what the heart of the story is. What was the author trying to teach you by telling the story? When you use your hand to model, you will for sure remember all of the parts you need to retell in a story. I'm going to use my palm to retell the story we just read. When I'm finished, you can go on Seesaw if you are able, and you can retell the same story, or you could retell a different story using the 5-finger method. All right, so I'm going to start with the characters. The characters in our story are Caroline and her dad. Then I'm going to tell you about the setting. So the setting takes place on Meadowview Street, and I'm going to guess the story takes place in the summer. The problem in our story is that Caroline wants to protect the flower and other natural things in her yard. So now I'm going to tell you the beginning, middle, and end. In the beginning, Caroline just saves a couple of flowers in her yard. Then, in the middle of the story, she adds a tree to her yard and a pond. At the end of the story, all of the neighbors are starting to make natural preservatives in their yards as well. So the solution to her problem was creating a space where natural things could live, not mowing the lawn, but creating a space where they would be safe, a home for everything. Do you remember what your poem is supposed to remind you to retell? The poem reminds you of the heart of the story. What does the author want you to remember after reading the story? What do you think, first graders? Go ahead and share what you think the heart of the story is. If you are able, remember to go on Seesaw to complete the activity. See you tomorrow.